everybody. Second time is the charm. I am always saying that, but I am always in spaces with Wi-Fi that isn't the greatest. So I am here with Dr. Goodnight, or Professor Goodnight from the University of Dayton. He's going to talk to us about sleeping habits and the best sleeping habits for your child and what happens when they don't follow those sleeping habits. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked to Dr. Thackeray from Dayton Children's Hospital, and he told us, how to set up those bedtime routines and what we can do to make sure our kids are getting enough sleep. So Professor Goodnight here, and that's really his name, is going to talk to us about what happens when they don't get enough sleep and a couple of other things. Okay, sure. Take it away.
Yeah, so sleep problems in preschoolers are very common. It's the time when kids start being afraid to go to bed. They're afraid of the monsters under the bed. They think sleeping is boring, so they tend to resist going to bed. They're waking up in the night. And so as a parent of a preschooler, I can totally relate to that common experience of dealing with those nighttime wakings and figuring out how to solve them. And the question is, because they tend to be fairly normal, does it even matter if kids are getting regular sleep or are they going to bed at the same time every night? And so what we know from a fairly significant body of research is that sleep is really important for preschoolers. In fact, it may be more important for preschoolers than many other ages in our life. And the reason is because sleep seems to play a role in a child's ability to self-regulate. And what that means, control emotions, control behavior, inhibit impulses. And that's something that kids are really just learning to do at this age range. And so for kids who have chronic sleep problems, and by sleep problems I mean things like they're not getting enough sleep, they're not getting the recommended 11 to 13 hours a night, they're tend to have very frequent night wakings, they're snoring and waking up in the middle of the night as a result. For those kids who experience that chronically, studies suggest that they have a harder time following rules in the classroom, they're more likely to be aggressive, they're more likely to experience anxiety.
And these are all things that can hinder your child from being kindergarten ready.
That's right. And in fact, if you look at kindergarten readiness, there are actually some findings that suggest that academic performance suffers as a result of chronic sleep deprivation. So preschoolers who get less than the recommended amount are more likely to have problems with language development. So they maybe have a smaller vocabulary, but they have a harder time solving problems. And in fact, even in one study, they found that kids who had chronic sleep deprivation, meaning they were getting less than even 7 hours a night on average.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Especially as a parent. And that if that was the case, that they were more likely to be held back from the kindergarten first grade year, and they were less likely to show evidence of learning through that year. So, sleep is a mysterious thing in the sense that we don't know exactly how it contributes to learning and self-control, self-regulation. But one thing we do know very well is that it's really important. For whatever reason, whatever it's doing to our brains, it is preparing us for learning, for the ability to have memories, to control impulses, all the things that are really critical for kids' success in preschool and beyond.
So what are some things parents can do to make sure that their child is having 13 hours, or what are some things parents can do to help with this?
Well, one of the things we know is what matters is how parents respond to those problems that are occasionally just very common for preschoolers. So what do you do around bedtime resistance? What do you do when your child wakes up in the middle of the night? And there seems to be some evidence for what we call sort of language-based bedtime routines. And what that means is developing a regular routine that starts at the same time every night, that involves stories, songs, whatever that might be. This way of sort of helping the child feel secure going to bed. Because you can't make a child go to sleep, but what you can do is you can try to create the optimal conditions for relaxation and for felt security. If the child feels safe, if the child feels good about their relationship with their parent, if they've had this sort of experience of things, getting quieter at night, they're going to bed and that's the place where they sleep, but they don't watch tablets, they don't play on screens, those sorts of things. The more that we can dedicate that space to sleeping, the more likely it is that kids are going to have an easier time falling asleep.
So what can I do if I'm a parent of a 4-year-old and my son or daughter comes in and they're like, Mom, I can't sleep? Do I how do I send them back to their room, or what can a parent do to make sure they're getting sleep?
Sure. Yeah, it's a challenge because many people are tempted in the middle of the night because it's disrupting the parent's sleep too, and that's part of the equation. Is if your kid's sleeping less, you're sleeping less. But in the middle of the night, it's very tempting to say, go ahead and get in bed, we'll need to sleep here. The problem is that has actually been found to increase the likelihood that the child experiences night wakings on later nights. So really what you want to do is what you mentioned, which is take your child back to bed, give them some support. They need comfort. They may have woken up from a bad dream, so it's not like you immediately leave them, but you help them get settled back in bed, and then you leave them there. That'll help the child learn to develop some independence around bedtime, and helping themselves go back to sleep on a more regular basis. Because in fact, the case is that it's not abnormal to wake up in the middle of the night. We still do it as adults for brief periods of time, but we don't remember it because we're able to to settle back down on our own. Preschoolers are just learning how to do that. So parents can be reassuring, but not over responding to that. Be comforting, but be boring. Put the child back in their bed, and then move on.
Okay. So we're gonna slowly wrap this up. So do you have any last tips for parents, or any other tips, any burning tips?
I would say that the sort of biggest take-home message is that when toddlers and preschoolers sleep well, parents sleep well. Those are very much linked. If your child is waking you up a lot in the middle of the night, and in fact is a thing that you can do for your child as well as yourself to help establish good sleep routines, because it means you're going to be better rested. You're going to be better able to help your child learn all those skills that they're needing to learn in preschool by helping them sleep. It's going to make the family function better. It's going to help you self-regulate better, and most importantly, it's going to help your child be more successful in preschool.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Goodnight.
No problem.
So to wrap this up, make sure you have a routine. Also, in the middle of the night, make sure you are soothing but not a fun parent, so you can put them back to sleep. And the more sleep that your baby gets, the more sleep that you get, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of stumbled over everything. But okay, thanks guys for tuning in, and hope we were of some help, and thank you again.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.